Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into something literally mind-bending today. We're going to unpack the CRGE framework. It is this absolutely awe-inspiring study that looks at how the fundamental structures of our entire universe actually connect under a single universal ledger rule. We're going to map out this incredibly complex physics concept step by step, making it super structural and easy to follow.
Okay, let's dive into this. 0.5%. It's a tiny number, right? But this isn't just any fraction. It represents the astonishing average error margin when the entire universe is connected under one single structural rule. Think about that. It means all our complex physical laws don't just operate independently out there in the void, they are tightly bound together, like a highly precise, balanced ledger.
And to really grasp what that 0.5% means, you have to look at the sheer scale of the CRGE framework's ambition. We are talking about 75 physical constants, 30 standard equations, the 4 fundamental forces, and literally all 118 elements of the periodic table. Instead of individual, disjointed theories for each of these, everything is threaded together by one unified grammar. From subatomic forces all the way up to the elements we interact with daily, it all perfectly aligns under that tiny 0.5% margin. It's wild.
So here's our agenda for today. We'll start with one rule, cosmic order, then move right into conserved total and residual migration. After that, we'll explore symmetry and coupling, look at geometric transformers, examine that 0.5% proof, and wrap up with strict audit and limits.
Let's kick things off with section 1. One rule, cosmic order, simplifying standard quantum structures. You know, the primitive foundation of the CRGE framework isn't some pages-long, incredibly complex equation. It's actually a very simple transition rule. When state A changes to state B, the internal distribution between the two might shift around, but the overall total is always conserved. And that right there is the underlying principle of the universe's ledger. Moving right along to section 2, conserved total and residual migration, the simple seed of physics. So the crucial point here for beginners is understanding these two vital concepts, conserved total and residual migration. Think of it exactly like a fixed overall budget that is never destroyed. That's the conserved total. But inside that budget, you have values that are constantly shifting and moving to balance out. That's the residual migration. Now, what's really fascinating about these definitions is that these two incredibly simple ideas completely replace the need for multiple independent fundamental laws. It all boils down to this shifting balance. Let's play a simple 10-point ledger game to really visualize this. Initially, imagine we have 2 plus 8. That is a highly biased state. Slowly, those internal values start migrating. They go to 3 plus 7, then maybe 4 plus 6. But notice, the conserved total remains exactly 10 the whole time. Eventually, we hit 5 plus 5, which is perfect balance. The paper refers to this specific moment as the zero bias node. And believe it or not, this basic little ledger game writes the foundation for physical reality. Which brings us to section 3, symmetry and coupling, how the math gives birth to physical reality. Notice how this very origin grammar literally maps directly to physical structures. From that simple rule of exchanging A and B, we get the concept of symmetry. But the really interesting part is coupling. Because the total budget is rigidly fixed, if one value goes up, the other must inherently go down. So coupling isn't some extra complex force that got added on top of the universe later. It is a totally natural, unavoidable consequence of having a fixed total in the ledger. So a great question to ask is, when can we actually observe these internal changes? Think back to that 5 plus 5 readout gate. Bias states like 4 plus 6 or 3 plus 7, they shift internally, sure, but they remain totally hidden from the outside world. The external readout gate only opens at the exact moment of perfect equality. You only get to see it at the 5 plus 5 zero bias node. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how positive and negative polarities originate in physics. Because what happens if you push past that 5 plus 5 equilibrium point? Say you push into 6 plus 4 or 7 plus 3. Well, the polarity actually reverses as it crosses that baseline. One side becomes positive, the other side becomes negative, and it's all simply based on the residual migration across that central zero bias node. All right, section 4, geometric transformers, scaling up to fundamental constants.
The universe is absolutely not built on arbitrary parameters. Think about basic circular and conical geometric shapes. These act as geometric transformers. The entire framework relies on this tiny, strict, fixed geometric basis to establish the ultimate shape and the constant numbers of the universe, with absolutely zero random guessing.
And as we scale this up, we see how it builds into the constant readout law. Take the alpha slot, for example. This is not some complex, manually tuned value that scientists just massage to make the math work. It shows how physical constants are actually derived purely from fundamental geometric closure conditions, like pi. Let's move to Section 5, the 0.5% proof, validating the CRGE framework against standard physics. If we compare two main approaches, it gets really fascinating. Standard quantum mechanics, like the famous Schrödinger equation, provides us with the observable formula. But the CRGE two-channel approach provides the generated finite inputs that are running right underneath it. And when we map these two together, just like we discussed earlier, with all those elements, constants, and fundamental forces, the error rate is astonishingly under 0.5%. Finally, Section 6, strict audit and limits, respecting the boundaries of the claim. You see, this framework establishes a deliberately bounded scientific claim. The author doesn't run around pretending CRGE is some magical final theory of everything meant to totally replace quantum field theory. Not at all. It's proposed purely as a discrete grammar framework and an audit, complete with a very strict, explicit anti-overfitting firewall. And honestly, that shows some remarkable scientific humility. So here's the thought I want to leave you with. If the immense, truly unimaginable complexity of our universe ultimately stems from a single, simple, perfectly balanced ledger, what other elegant secrets is this framework going to reveal next? I really hope you're leaving with a profound sense of awe at the universe's hidden simplicity. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.